afternoon, everyone. I, Sakshi Suneja, would like to welcome you all to the National Webinar on Career Awareness in Legal Globe, organized by Youth Parliament Society, Law College, Dehradun, Faculty of Uttaranchal University. I would like to welcome a guest speaker, Ms. Debolina Saha, founder, Internship Bank. Honorable Dean, Law College, Dehradun, and officiating Vice Chancellor, Uttaranchal University, Professor Dr. Rajesh Bahuguna sir. Officiating Principal and HOD, Law College Dehradun, Professor Dr. Poonam Rawat ma'am, Dr. Rajat Sharma, Honorable Chairperson, Youth Parliament Society. I would also like to acknowledge President, Vice President, and members of the Youth Parliament Society, and most importantly, the participants who have gathered here for today's session. Before starting the session, I would like to introduce a speaker to you all, Ms. Debolina Saha. She is a dual qualified lawyer, England and Wales and India, and the founder of Internship Bank. Internship Bank is an online platform that seeks to connect upcoming young female professionals to senior women professionals by way of internment with a safer environment to work, a role model to emulate, and a mentor. Debolina was previously a senior associate at Dorsey and Whitney, a senior legal counsel for the APAC region at Cantor Fitzgerald, and an associate at Allen and Overy, Hong Kong. She also has experience working for some of the top law firms in India, including Amarchand Mangaldas and the United Kingdom as Hearst LLP. In areas of general corporate, capital markets, and banking and finance law. Additionally, Debolina has been a guest faculty in some of India's top law schools, has been featured in several online mediums including Legally India, is actively involved in mentoring students for interviews, CV writing, and a career in law, and has several publications to her credit, including in international justice. Now, I humbly request Honorable Dean, Law College Dehradun, and officiating Vice Chancellor, Uttaranchal University, Professor Dr. Rajesh Bahuguna sir, to kindly address the gathering.
My dear student, we are in a profession where this blind check cannot run. We must be aware from very first day. You can see the expectation from a lawyer to your parents, society, college, everywhere. So, what we have planned for the career awareness, we are calling, rather requesting the experts from the different fields. And first and most important things which I feel is the internship you have taken during your college period. And I am very thankful to the organizing committee, Dr. Rajit and his team, that they have brought before you Internship Bank in the form of Debolina Saha. So what I feel, today we will have very good interactive session, and I understand Debolina, with the experience I have just seen in India and abroad. See, what I feel, Debolina, in fact, I can see an advocate sitting before me. I can see a well-experienced girl in India and foreign before me. And with this, I can very well have an expectation that my students will get much from you. Once again, I welcome you on the behalf of entire organizing committee. You are most welcome, and in advance, I invite you Whenever the situation permit, you are welcome. This is your own college. This is your own university. You are also my child like others. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Now, I request a guest speaker, Ms. Debolina Saha, to start the session on the topic, The Art of Choosing Internship.
A very good and a very warm welcome to all the participants across India who've made time and decided to spend perhaps the next 1 hour with me listening to the topic on the art of choosing internships. So when we talk about the art of choosing internships, perhaps the goal that comes to everyone's mind is making sure that we choose the right internship for ourselves. An internship which will help us showcase our best qualities, an internship that will help us stand apart from the other candidates. So when we talk about the art of choosing internships, the first and foremost goal that comes to our mind is perhaps making the right choice of internship, right? And if that is a goal, like any of the things in life, there is no one single way of achieving that goal. There are many different ways in which you can achieve this goal. And the idea being that over this discussion, what I'll try and do is lay out some general processes by which you can choose the right internship for yourself. But then you have to apply whatever I tell you on this session, tailor make it to your own personal situation and decide how you would want to apply all the tips and the nuances that I will be giving out to you. So the way I will run this discussion is, in the first half of this webinar session, I will talk about some general tips and nuances of getting the right internship for yourself. And in the second half of this discussion, I will talk about some general nuances and tips of how you could secure the right internship opportunity via using the online platform of Internship Bank. And hopefully by the end of this webinar, you would have all picked up some tips, got some takeaways, which will help you to make better choices in your internship applications and stand a greater chance of success at getting that internship that you've aspired to. So if you remember, I started off by saying that the art of choosing, the goal of the art of choosing internships is perhaps to get the right internship for yourself. But let me add that there are actually many ancillary goals to that. You know, one important ancillary to the art of choosing the right internship opportunity for yourself is to begin the learning process even before your internship, your actual internship starts. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that your learning should not begin at the time you begin the internship. It should begin at the very start or during the process of your internship application. Your learning actually starts. And what I mean by that is the internship application process is going to be a tough one. It is going to be a process where you will face rejections, where you feel dejected, where you'll perhaps not receive any response from the place that you've applied to do an internship. So what the learning process for you then would be to hone your skills in perseverance, patience, focus, self-belief. So your goal during this art of choosing your internship should be to learn as much as you would learn in the internship, or perhaps more, even during the process of your internship application. Because the more you toughen yourself, the more you believe in yourself, the more you hone your qualities of focus, perseverance, diligence, the belief that you have in yourself, the more confidence will you develop in your abilities, the more tougher person you will become. And remember, the dejection and the rejections that you face in your internship applications is going to be a very similar and a familiar process perhaps when you make your first job application. So the tougher you become, the more positive you become during your internship process application, you actually develop into a stronger person and you stand to gain more or be more resistant to failures, which you will perhaps encounter in your first few job applications. So your goal should not only be to receive the right internship opportunity, your goal should be to start learning even earlier than your actual internship stint, learning during your internship application process to develop the skills of perseverance, patience, focus, determination, and all similar soft skills that you would need when perhaps you later apply for job application. The other goal that you should have, in addition to having and making the right choices of internship, is to make sure that you build lasting relationships with your peers and your seniors with whom you actually end up interning. Your internship should not only be all about learning the job at hand and simply writing it in your CV and being able to rattle off what you've learned during your internship process in front of your interviewer. What your ultimate goal, and this is another art of choosing the right internship, what your ultimate goal should be is to make sure that you just do not stop at networking. Do not stop at the routine networking that everyone does. Your job, your goal at your internship should be to build lasting, impactful, and meaningful relationships with everyone that you come across while interning. They could be your seniors, they could be your peers, they could be your juniors. The idea is to build meaningful relationships. And the reason I talk about building relationships is because students, every internship that you do, that you complete, will act as a stepping stone to the next internship that you do, and ultimately will act as the stepping stone to the first job that you finally get. Just to give you an example from my own life, I interned twice at Amachan Mangadas before getting my first job offer from that very same law firm. So you see what I did? I'm a first generation lawyer myself. Before entering the legal field, I did not have any contacts. My family had nothing to do with lawyers. We, in fact, avoided lawyers like many people in India still do. So what I did was made sure that during my first internship, not only did I do a good job, I built that rapport with people. I built that relationship with people. And I didn't stop at just professional networking. I made a genuine effort to connect with people, both juniors, peers, and seniors. So what that did was, put me in everyone's good books. And then people remembered me to call me for a second internship opportunity. And ultimately, all that added up to making my path to get my first job a little more easier than it would have otherwise been had I not built up that networking or genuine relationship. So because this is important, let me repeat one more time as to what your goals of internship should be, in addition to choosing the right internship. So your second goal, if I may put, should be to make sure that your learning process at the internship begins much earlier than your actual internship process, learning to fail and get up, learning to be determined, learning to be perseverant, learning not to be deterred by failures, So all of that learning will happen during your internship application process. And the second learning and another important learning should be to build relationships, and that should be your ultimate goal. Being the founder of Internship Bank, I can tell you that choosing any internship is not an art. But what is an art is choosing the right internship for yourself, right? And if that's the goal, you need to decide what path will you follow to reach the goal, right? Your question would be, ma'am, you've told us the goals. Now, how do I make my way, or what path do I follow to reach that particular goal? And to that, I will say what path you need to follow to reach that goal of choosing the right internship and doing the things that I emphasized on a little earlier would depend on three important things. Now, what are those three important things? The first would be your personal ambition. Second would be your individual personality. And the third would be your own personal, geographical, and financial circumstance. So, depending on these three factors of what your personal ambitions are, what your individual personality is like, and number three, what are your geographical and financial circumstances, you would then need to decide as to which path you would want to follow to achieve the goals of getting the right internship, building the relationships, and learning even before your internship actually begins. So let me now rehash these 3 points that I've mentioned, which would determine as to which path you should really follow to get to your goal of getting the right internship for yourself. So the first being your personal ambitions. Now, students, all of you would realize that you know yourself better than anyone, right? I'm sure most of you would agree to that point, that no one knows you better than you yourself. So when it comes to personal ambitions, if you are the kind of person who is absolutely sure from day one that they want to be in the area of corporate law, for whatever reason, on day one of your college or in the first year itself or the first semester, you have decided that you want to be a corporate lawyer. You're not interested in criminal law, civil law. You've simply decided for whatever reason. In that case, if your personal ambition beckons you to be a corporate lawyer, your task becomes a little simpler. And you are a little ahead in the game, or in the curve, as I say, from the rest of your peers who may not have yet decided as to which path they would like to follow once they get their law degree, or what they would like to do after the 5-year law course ends. So if you are sure about what you want to do and what you want to become after your 5-year law course, the path is simple for you. All you have to do then, if you want to be a corporate lawyer, is to do anything and everything that will show that you are always interested in that area of law, that you are doing everything possible to develop that expertise in that area of law. So that would mean doing academic papers, taking subjects, anything that would be remotely related to corporate law or would have corporate law as the main core subject. Similarly, when it comes to extracurricular activities, your efforts should then be to do as many moot courts as possible to which are more geared towards enhancing your corporate law knowledge or testing you in that field. So it's very simple. If your personal ambition beckons you to be a corporate lawyer, the art of then choosing internship becomes a little simpler to you, because then all you have to do is make sure that you build up your credentials in the area of corporate law, have enough credentials, then make the application to one of the best law firms that India has or that there is abroad in the area of corporate law, and show them how steadily, consistently you have been making effort to cull yourself as an expert in that area. And then the simple task once you get your internship would be to build relationships at your internship place and do a fantastic job, and let that be the stepping stone to your next internship offer, right? And ultimately to the first placement job that you secure after 5 years of law school. The other path that people who are very sure of what they want to do later can follow is the backward approach. Now, what do I mean by the backward approach? The backward approach is, say today, you're very sure you want to work with Allen & Overy in Hong Kong, say for example, right? Then the art of choosing the right internship for you would then mean, because you're so sure the only place you want to work is Allen & Overy in Hong Kong or a similar law firm or an organization like that, your first approach then should be to go to Allen & Overy's website Download the application form that is there for future trainees, because after 5 years of law school, you would start off as a trainee, joining via a training contract. So your approach should be to simply go to their website, download the application form, and see as of today what their requirements of a trainee are. What are the qualifications they are requesting of the trainee? So if they say, oh, we need a trainee with a certain CGPA, or we need a trainee with certain amount of pro bono work, we need a trainee with a certain amount of publications, then your approach as of today, at this very moment, would be to start working towards those credentials, so that 5 years down the line, when you sit for that ultimate training contract, which is your ultimate internship, you are best prepared to fill out that form, because the form will not come as a surprise to you. You would have already had the advantage of seeing that form 5 years before and having the time to yourself to work on that application for 5 years. So do you get what I'm saying? I'm not saying the application form will not change 5 years later. I'm not even saying that, but you can be sure that the application form will not change drastically. The requirements might vary, but the genre of the requirements will still be the same. So for those of you who are confident as to where you want to work, what you want to do, this backward approach can be very useful, not just for your internships, even later when you're applying for jobs. I often get questions like, ma'am, what does it take to be a senior counsel at Cantor Fitzgerald? What does it take to be a lawyer or a junior lawyer in this organization? I'm like, see, I can only tell you the generic factors. But if you want something more definitive, all you have to do is simply go to their website, download the form. The other thing, people who are sure of what they want to do can do is, have a LinkedIn profile and then start looking up profiles of people who are already working in the organizations that you aspire to work in. LinkedIn is an excellent platform of connecting, and it gives you a visibility as to the credentials, as to the kind of people that are there or who make it to those particular organizations that you're aiming to ultimately join. So do have a look at their profiles, see what credentials, what courses they have done, and that would again give you an indication of what you should be doing while in law school or a few years after law school to get that job or that training contract, or in the short term, that internship that you are looking out for. You'll be surprised by the number of people who are ready to help you if you only reach out to them. So never hesitate to reach out to people if you need help, but at the same time, do be mindful of not stalking them or, making their life miserable. Do maintain a certain amount of distance and do your homework before approaching them for help. So do not ask people open-ended questions like, ma'am, what should I do in my career? That is too broad an open-ended question for a busy personnel to respond to you over by way of an email or a message. Do your homework. Tell them, ma'am, I want to be a corporate lawyer. This is what I've done so far. This is what I plan to do. However, my doubts relate to as to whether I should do this course or that course. From your LinkedIn profile, I see you've done this particular course. Can you tell me a little more about it? Because I couldn't get this information from the website. Mind you, if you can get that information from the website or by a simple Google search, please do not ask those questions, because it only shows your laziness in a certain manner, or your carelessness in not researching or doing your homework, and does not really create a good impression about yourself. So far, this is about people who know what they want to do, right? But many of us, including myself, I didn't know what I was going to do, whether I was going to go for criminal law, whether I was going to go for civil law, whether I'm going to do corporate law. I think I was one of the late bloomers, in the sense I only decided to do corporate law when I was in third year of law college, clearly not before that. And I'm sure there'll be many of you right now who yet don't know what they want to do. you know. So that's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine to not know what you want to do with your, what you want to pursue later. So for those people, there are a different set of tools, you know. And what are those tools? The tools are, if I may put, interact, 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 talk, talk, talk. You know, what I mean by that is, if you are unsure of what path to follow, remember there are seniors of yours in law school who would have tread that very path which you are now starting to walk upon. There would be professionals in the field who would have already walked and crossed the bridges that you are trying to cross right now. So my advice to you would strongly be to definitely reach out to your seniors, ask them the mistakes they've made, their learnings, and I'm sure many, you know, probably if you approach 50, definitely there'll be 3 of them who will respond to you in a helpful way. You shouldn't stop at just, you know, you shouldn't be disheartened if 10 people don't respond to you. Just go, persevere, you know. If 10 people don't respond to you, approach 50 people. If 50 people don't respond to you, approach 100 people. And you might say that, ma'am, it's very easy for you to say this. Let me tell you from my own life's example. I worked for 3 years on my application process before I made it to Allen & Overy in Hong Kong. So I'm not giving or doling out advice to you that I myself have not followed. So perseverance does pay off, and it took me that long to apply and get through Allen & Overy simply because I passed out from my law college when you didn't have the custom of foreign law firms coming to your campus and interviewing you and recruiting you. So I had to take a long about turn to get to Allen & Overy in Hong Kong. So I persisted for 3 years. So you can well imagine the amount of persistence that you would require. The only idea in my telling you about this is so that you do not give up after approaching a few seniors and wanting to learn from them what their mistakes have been, what their learnings have been. So if you are unsure about what career path you need to follow, reach out to your seniors, reach out to LinkedIn contacts that you might have, that you might befriend, to understand what have been their learnings. And most importantly, even if you get a response back, say you've contacted 30 people and out of that 10 people have responded saying, hey, this has been my experience, these have been my learnings. Don't stop after getting a response from 10 people. And the reason I say that is, even if you ask the same question to 60 people, chances are that there would be a variety of response depending on the variety of experience various individuals would have had when pursuing their career. So each variety of response that you get only adds to your knowledge. My point is, don't stop asking questions. Reach out to people and definitely they will respond. Reach out to the LinkedIn profiles that you think of people you would like to become like. And most importantly, I think I should specifically make a mention of this, that don't worry about the what ifs. You know, the what ifs would be like, what if I end up in the wrong internship? What if I end up in an organization which is not right for me? If you don't try it, you will never know what is right for you. Because, as I said, there's a genre of people who are very sure of what they want to do. And there is another set of people, and I was one amongst them, who don't know what to do. So your what ifs shouldn't be a hindrance. University, colleges are the places that give you that luxury to try as many internships as possible, to try meeting and networking with as many people as possible. So use your internships in an exploratory fashion. Don't just do what you are comfortable doing in your internship. With each internship, increase that reach of yours to do something a little more, to do something that you found uncomfortable. So spread out your boundary, do things beyond the reach of your comfort zone, and slowly and steadily you will definitely find out as to what are the things that you like doing and where you are headed in terms of deciding which organization or which type of an entity you would like to work for. And as I said, the what is shouldn't be a concern to you at all, because even if you end up in a wrong internship place, what it does is it tells you and sends you a message as to which organizations you would perhaps absolutely not want to be in, and therefore you know which organizations you should avoid, or which subject areas you should avoid, or which kind of people you should stop interacting with, because we all come with different personalities, we get along with different types of people. So you will never be at a loss even if you end up choosing the wrong internship. It only helps you in recognizing what you are good at, and what benefit you in the future. We think, okay, we've secured this internship, let me just finish it, let me just do a good job with the task that's been given to me, and let me just put it in my CV and have something to talk about when someone questions me about it in my job interview. The right approach for you, and this is where the art of choosing internships comes into play, the right approach for you should be to treat every internship opportunity like a mini job. So if you dream about acting a certain way, talking in a certain manner, doing certain things after 5 years of college in terms of your professional life, let that internship be a mini job for you. Because if you treat your internship as a mini job with the same type of seriousness as you would do if you were to be in a paid job, in a paid profession 5 years down the line, let me tell you, students, you're building very strong connecting chain of good internships, and ultimately, you are increasing your chances of getting that dream job that you've always dreamt of. So do not treat your internship as just an internship. It's good to try internships as a practice ground, but do it with all seriousness, as if it's your job, as if that is the job that you want to do. So if you want to dress up in a particular professional manner, it's a very important principle that all of you should try and imbibe. If you want to achieve something, try talking in that manner, try behaving in that manner. Stop thinking of yourself as interns, because if you think of yourself as interns, what you will do is you will simply be limiting your imagination and your scope of development. When you are an intern, you need to start thinking like an associate, talking like an associate, behaving like an associate. And by that, I mean, do not lose your humility. I'm not saying go out there and say, hey, Debolina has told me that I should start talking like an associate. So even if I'm an intern, let me boss around, let me, be rude to others, not to say that's what associates do, but don't take it in the wrong way. The message is, people will only treat you the way you treat yourself and imagine yourself to be. So if you treat yourself as an intern, and if you think of yourself as an intern and you don't grow or you don't expand, then what it does is that you are limiting yourself. You're limiting yourself in your scope and your chances of getting a PPO. Why is it that certain students get a PPO and others don't? The reason is some of the students have started showing features which distinguish themselves and tell the law firm or tell that organization that, hey, if you recruit me, then I am an early starter. I've already started thinking of myself as an associate. I've been taking responsibilities like that of an associate. I have been behaving like as if this is a mini job for me, and I'm not even thinking of this as an internship. Everyone wants an early starter. We want students to come and help us right away. So if you start behaving like an associate, it definitely increases your chance of a PPO or a pre-placement offer, and makes you such a lucrative candidate to hire for any law firm. The other thing that I personally have always followed is that I would rather struggle today and have tough days today than have a tough future. So the way I've always worked for myself is to make sure that I put in as much of hard work as I possibly can, and work hard presently so that my future becomes a little easy. So what I mean by that is at your internship, and I've highlighted this point subtly a little while ago too. So in your internships, have an exploratory approach as well as an in-depth approach. And what I mean by that is just do not do what you are comfortable doing or what you are good at doing in your internship. Of course, you must play to your strengths. It is a good idea to identify what your strengths are in comparison to your peers. And I will deal with that a little, deal with this a little later. But what is also important is that each internship, you should try and discover and strengthen a new facet in yourself. You should do something that's a little out of your comfort zone, because if you don't develop that confidence in yourself, and you don't develop that fluency in yourself that is so essential once you go out in the real world and have a real job. So never be afraid to push yourself out there and achieve things which you've not previously achieved. So definitely go out of your comfort zone. So we've talked about the first point, the first path determinant, as I call it, which is, your personal ambitions. And we talked about people who are very sure as to what they want to do with their life after law school, and others who don't. And depending on which category or which bucket you fall into, you could then, chalk out your path and decide as to how you would want to approach your internships. The second path determinant that I call is the individual personality. Again, each of us bring to the table different personality traits. Some of us are extroverts, some are introverts, so we bring different qualities and features to the table. And a little while ago, I mentioned how it's worth playing on your strengths. So what I mean is that if you are an extrovert who loves public speaking, who is able to engage with people, there may be, a career in or an internship in litigation would be a good choice for you. Similarly, if you are a person who does not like working long hours and cannot think of sitting in one place and working for 17, 18 hours, then maybe a good choice for you is to go in-house, is to apply for an internship in a private organization as opposed to a law firm. So again, there are people who are extremely good at research. They're extremely good at research, and a career for them in a think tank would be an excellent idea. Therefore, an internship maybe at a think tank would be a good option for them. So the other mantra, is to always play on your strengths. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that you should completely ignore your weaknesses. So it is not to say that a person who's an introvert should simply stick to research jobs and never really go out there and speak or network with people. So you play on your strengths, but you simultaneously, what you do is you hone or you improve your weaknesses, and the idea is to slowly turn your weaknesses slowly and steadily into your strengths, so that there is an overall development in yourself, and you are a completely honed person or a honed lawyer when it comes to all the qualities that are required of you at an internship or at a job. So do play to your strengths. I think that's important. So take a step back and don't just simply apply to internship positions. The art of choosing the internship that is right for you would very much depend on what your strengths are and how you match your strengths to the particular requirements of the internship organization. So if the internship organization, say for example, is requesting someone to work for 17, 18 hours at a stretch, and you are definitely not the kind of person who can concentrate that long or remain focused for that long, there's nothing wrong in admitting that to yourself. Then clearly you don't want to spend your time doing that internship because you've clearly in the past not been able to concentrate for that long. And we are a close-knitted legal family, so you don't want a reputation to develop of yourself in the market that, oh, so-and-so is not a good intern, because no one will take the time to understand you, that you are good at other things, but you're perhaps not good at working those long hours or concentrating for those long hours at your job. So play your strengths depending on your individual personality, right? So we've discussed the two path determinants as to which paths you should follow to reach the ultimate goal of getting the right internship for yourself. The third path determinant would be your individual geographical and financial circumstance. So I often get queries like, ma'am, should we go for a foreign internship, right? My answer to such questions would be, take a stock of your, take a stock of your individual geographical as well as your financial circumstance. If both of these permit you to go ahead with a foreign internship, definitely go for it. But if your foreign internships comes at the cost of real quality work, just because it's a branded institution does not mean that you will get the exposure that you are looking out for. These are big organizations, mind you, so they have plenty of people to help out, and that means you will get a smaller chunk of the work to do. Whereas if you were to intern in a smaller organization, most likely you would get more responsibilities and more exposure. So if the answer is that, ma'am, I can go to a foreign to a foreign land and do an internship, and that will not come at the cost of my work experience, then my absolute answer would be go for it, right? But is that the only way to gain a good job or a good internship? No, that's not the only way. So the only way perhaps, and the right way that will really help you to get that next good internship or job is in fact an internship that exposes you or gives you that chance to experiment and dabble in as many fields or as many questions that might come up in that particular area. So your work experience, what you actually do at your work, is more important than the brand name of the organization. The brand name will only carry you so far. You know, you want to be in a position where when you are being questioned as to what you did in your internship place, say in a job interview, you want to be able to tell them that this is what I did. This is, so that's where your in-depth and your exploratory approach of internship should come into play and be very helpful. You don't want to do an internship in a top branded law firm only to tell them, hey, I took more coffee breaks during my internship than I actually sat through at my desk. So it's very, very important to concentrate and not lose focus on what work you do during your internship. That is definitely more important than getting that brand name. The other thing I can think about is that, say, if you're located in a geographical location which is quite remote, you know, say it's quite far away, say, from the major law firms in India, you might really want to think of doing a remote internship. Remote internships are a good idea, but it comes with a caveat. It is only a good idea if you have already done some in-person internships before. And the reason being that in-person internships, unlike remote internships, help you develop your soft skills in a manner that becomes palatable or very enticing to job offerers later. So, you know, there are two sets of qualities. One is the technical quality that you bring on the table in terms of knowing your subject matter, which is important, but there is another facet of quality that often gets ignored, especially in the Indian context, and that is your soft skills, the way you speak, the way you address. And these are things you only pick up in an in-person internship. So remote internships are good. They are good, especially if you are interning with the same person and the same organization with whom you've already done an in-person internship, and therefore you build up that relationship and rapport, which I emphasized on earlier during the talk. So there is nothing wrong with doing remote internships as long as you've done in-person internships before. So don't moan about the fact that I don't have the money. Don't unnecessarily put yourself through the pressure, as well as your family members through the pressure, who are already perhaps under a huge financial burden, considering the fees of law schools that have been rising in recent years. So do not put additional pressure. If you've already done in-person internships, remote internships can be as effective as possible, in my experience. Another feature of the art of choosing internship is to realize and is to understand the art of how internship providers choose you over and above other candidates. Remember, internship process is a two-way is a two-way interaction. Not only do you apply, someone else has to choose you over and above. So you will be well ahead in the game if you understand what the internship providers, what art do they use when they decide on which candidates to zero on. And believe me or not, you as an applicant can actually play a very pivotal role in directing the internship offerer to choose you. So let me tell you the secret as to how you go about doing that. And the simple mantra for that is to help the internship offerer to choose you. I repeat, there's a very simple mantra, the art of how internship providers choose you is a one-line mantra, is how you help them to choose you over and above the other candidates. And what I mean by that is that you should do everything in your power to make your internship offerer's life as easy as possible in terms of choosing your CV, your profile, over and above the many CVs and many profiles that they would have already received. And what are those points that you can do to help them choose you over and above other candidates? So the first and foremost is include a brief, clear cover letter which clearly lays out your qualities, what you bring to the table, specific to the job requirements or the internship requirements. So don't start writing in the cover letter anything and everything about all your achievements. If the internship application requests certain qualities in a candidate, reread those qualities, and in your cover letter, what you should then do, or your cover email, what you should do is simply, by way of an example, demonstrate as to how you bring those qualities already on board. So it's like a lock and key mechanism whereby, with each qualification of yours, you're unlocking the requirement of the internship offerer. Right? You are telling them, see, I bring all the qualities by way of concrete examples from your academic or extracurricular achievements. You're telling them that, see, I'm the right candidate and I'm the best candidate for that particular job. Also, let your curriculum vitae or let your CV be pleasing to the eye. Make the formatting good, make it well-paced, spaced, make sure that there are no typos, and it contains all the information that perhaps makes you stand out for that particular internship application. So do not, I repeat, please do not send the same CV for all internship applications. Personalize it to each internship applications and make it specific to each of the requirements of that particular internship offerer or the organization, whatever they are looking out for. Because only when you match their criteria will you get that call for an interview perhaps, or a confirmation about the internship position. Always include an eye-catching subject line. So don't just say CV or application for internship. You could say something like, say, if I were to send my CV today, I would say dual qualified lawyer with magic circle experience, seeks suitable opportunity. Now that subject line will definitely catch the eye of the internship offerer than if I were to simply write Debolina Saha CV. Right? So make the subject line of your email eye-catching for the internship offerer. Keep in mind the fact that the internship offerer would be receiving so many applications, internship applications, maybe about 50 or 60. At Internship Bank, I can tell you that every day I receive at least 60 internship applications, so make your application stand out in a good way. Your mail should be short and brief and easy to read, and save your CV in a commonly accessible format. You all would think that I'm telling you very basic things, but trust me, I get so many CVs and saved in so many different formats that my computer is not compatible. So maybe just use a PDF form or a docx form as opposed to using any other form of saving the CV. So do remember the fact that nowadays people check their emails more on their mobile phone than on their computer screen. So you might also want to make sure that your CV that you're sending across appears in a mobile-friendly manner. So do keep that in mind. These small things really make a difference, because you don't want to send a CV which looks all fine on a computer, but when you look at a mobile screen, the formatting is all over the place. That doesn't create a good impression. So you want to make sure that your CV is stored in a very accessible form, whether it's accessed by way of a computer or say a mobile phone, right? And save your CV with your name. Follow up on your application, but do not stalk or irritate the person. A general idea would be it's good to follow up on your application because your internship offerers are busy people. That's your internship application could be the most important thing for you, but for your internship offerer, that's one of the many emails. So it's okay to pursue and to understand the status of your application, but at the same time, please make sure that you do not stalk the person or irritate the person. It's a good idea to definitely follow up on the status of your application once in every 2 weeks or once in every 3 weeks, unless you've been told to contact at a different frequency. So do follow up, because follow up shows that you care. You really want to intern at that particular organization. So people like people who are a little persuasive, a little eager to join that organization, as opposed to someone who just sends the CV and never does any follow-up. So do a follow-up, but be careful as to not to irritate that person or appear as a pushover. Another thing that you can do to help the internship offerer choose you over other candidates is to anticipate the questions that someone might ask after having a quick squint at your CV. So say, for example, a particular grade in your particular semester is low, say, for example, and that could be because you were ill with some disease, or there was something in the family. So you want to explain these things upfront, as opposed to waiting for the internship offerer to ask you these questions. The mantra would be proactive and not reactive. So take a step back and understand what questions an internship offerer can ask you by having a quick squint at your CV. And if you can anticipate and provide those questions, responses to those questions, you definitely set yourself apart as a very lucrative candidate that the organization would want to have. The simple rule should always be that if you are in doubt as to what should go in an application or what shouldn't, put yourself in the internship offerer's place. And think, if you were the internship offerer, what would you have liked to see in a CV? What would you have liked the cover letter to look like? So you put yourself in his or her shoes and think, and surprisingly, you would get answers to most of the questions that you are seeking out. So whenever in doubt, do try to put yourself in the internship offerer's place. So these are some of the ways, by which you can actually, in a way, direct the internship offerer to choose you over and above the other candidates. Now, I may also add here that I've seen many students simply apply to as many jobs as possible or as many internships as possible, and simply pray to themselves that I hope one of the internship applications hits the bullseye and I'm successful. So they play the volume game, in short. I mean, I'm not saying this approach doesn't work. It definitely works, because of which so many of you try sending out so many standard emails and applications for the many internship offers that are out there. But I am a true believer of the fact that if you really invest your time and energy and tailor make your CV for a particular position, it does shine through and catches the eye of the internship offer, and thereby increases your chances of success in that particular internship. So do play the volume game, but at the same time, be mindful to perhaps balance it out a little bit and just not simply blindly send out CVs to everyone and anyone. Do tailor make your CV for that particular position. Even on online platforms like Internship Bank, there is a strategy which all of you can use to actually direct me to choose your CV over and above the other person's CV. And the way you can do it is, first and foremost, it's very simple. Click on the follow button of our social media platforms. So go to LinkedIn, go to Facebook, search Internship Bank, and click the follow button. Because what then happens is, once you click the follow button, you immediately get notified of the latest internship opportunities that are updated on the platform, which means you stand to be one of the early applicants for that internship position. So going by my experience and what I've been seeing over the last 6 months, early applicants definitely stand a stronger chance of making it through an internship as opposed to those who apply later. So do click that follow button. It takes just a second of your time, but what it does is it keeps you posted immediately when new internship opportunities are added to the Internship Bank platform, and thereby increases your chance of an early application, and which in turn increases your chance of a success at your chosen internship place. The other thing you can do to increase your chances is to closely monitor the success stories that are constantly advertised on our social media platforms. So say, for example, you see that we've already placed 3 students with organization A, right, in the month of July. Common sense should dictate to you that, if you again apply in the month of July, your application stands a lesser chance of success simply because we've already placed 3 students in that particular month with that organization. This is not to say you cannot apply to that organization, but maybe apply in the month of August or September, then you are an early applicant, and maybe you then increase your chances of success of interning with that particular organization. So do follow our success stories on Internship Bank a little more in detail, because that will give you a clear indication as to the pattern and time during which perhaps it's best for you to apply for an internship. The other thing is, I don't think anyone in the profession would discourage you from asking questions. I don't know of any seniors or organizations which would say, hey, no questions welcomed. Everyone is keen to help you. But when you seek help from us, you really distinguish yourself in a good or a bad way, depending on whether you've done your homework before you ask us a question. So say, for example, you ask me a question today, which is already answered on the Internship Bank website, either in the form of frequently asked questions or in some of the posts or the interviews that I've already done. It doesn't create a good impression about you, because it almost tells me that this candidate did not even find the time or couldn't care less to go through the website, access the frequently asked questions, or do a simple Google search on me to go through a few recent interviews that I've given on the same subject. So therefore, do not ask questions which have already been answered. Do put in some time. It won't take much of your time to go through a few latest videos that I've done, which perhaps would already answer your question, or our website. Do invest that time. You stand a much better chance of creating an impression with me and thereby increasing your chances of internship if you say, write me an email saying, ma'am, I've watched your video on so-and-so topic, and where you dealt with these questions. However, I don't know how to react to this particular situation. Can you help me with that? It shows me that you've done your homework, you're a serious candidate, and it automatically sets you apart from the many others who will ask me questions which have already been answered either by me or one of my teammates. So when asking questions, ask questions, but make sure you are asking intelligent questions and you're asking questions after doing your homework. It's a no-brainer. Do not send me standard emails. You will be surprised by the number of people who write to me saying, "Dear sir." They are clearly asking me for help. They say, "Dear Debolina, sir." I mean, if you've not done a simple Google search to see who am I, that creates an extremely bad impression. So always research on the person that you are approaching. It need not be me. It could be you're applying for an internship at a different organization. Do check up the person's LinkedIn profile. Do a Google search to simply see whether the person is a he or a she, and how you should address the person. It really creates, it could be an impression that either creates or breaks your internship opportunity at that particular organization. So these things might appear minor, but trust me, in the bigger context of matters, it helps you to set yourself apart from other candidates. The last thing that I would like to perhaps drill down on is that, don't always be the person asking for help, because be the person who is also willing out to help. Now, you might ask me that, "Ma'am, how you are a senior lawyer, how can I help you? You're way senior to me." So when I'm talking about myself in this context, I mean any other senior lawyer in the field. You might think, "Oh, so-and-so is a senior lawyer. How can I even think of helping that person?" None of us are too small to help anyone else. Do not belittle yourself. Your simple like on a comment, your simple follow, your simple, appreciation of someone's work will help you build a rapport with that person. So there have been so many students, who before applying to internship bank, what they have done is, and set themselves apart by doing this, is approached me by saying, "Ma'am, is there any way we can help you with the wonderful work that you're doing with Internship Bank?" And that definitely sets them apart than the many others who simply write me an email saying, "Ma'am, can you help me get me an internship?" So there are two sets of people. One set of people who are eager to help, who follow, who like our comments, who encourage us, and thereby what they do over a process of 1 or 2 weeks or a month or so, they build a rapport with us. So when their email reaches my inbox, I already know them, by a certain amount of association, by a certain amount of interaction. And that definitely sets them apart in the sense I know I've received an email from a familiar person. And if that person has the credentials that are required by that internship organization, definitely that person stands a bigger and a greater chance of success with that application than someone who I don't know at all, who randomly sends me an email. So before you ask help from someone, and this should not just be applicable to your internships, it should be applicable and should be a life lesson for you. Before you ask for help, see ways in which you can help a person, because once you help a person, the other person will think twice before rejecting to help you. So do be that person who is eager to help, and by doing so, you set yourself apart as a proactive person, as a person who is not just there to gain and to just take and to leave. You are there to also give out in the process and help someone else. So let it be a quid pro quo system as opposed to just always taking help. So I think that pretty much sums up what I had to tell all of you about the art of choosing internships. And I can tell you hand on heart that if you follow a few of the principles that I've laid out, a few of the nuances that I've laid out, you will definitely increase your chances of success at Internship Bank.
And the most, I would like to express my gratitude to today's speaker, Ms. Debolina Saha, for accepting our invitation, that too graciously, and within this short span of time, she accepted to joined with us. And this was indeed a very interactive session, very informative for all those students. Even I would like to confess, even as a teacher, we are not well versed in these topics, particularly related to internship. We do not know number of things regarding it. Even we need to have a professional guidance, and it was you who perfectly and elaborately discussed all the aspects related to it. We are really very thankful to you. Even I have noticed few of your things which were quite informative, even not for going only for internship, but for being a good human being, being a good professional. I have noticed few of the things I would like to just conclude once. These are one has to be for internship programs, it depends upon three things. One, personal ambitions. Second, individual personality. And third, geographically and financial or other circumstances. So these are three focuses. These are three circumstances which are to be considered while going for an internship. You have discussed number of things, number of qualities, how a CV is to be made, what goals a person should have to go for an internship. And it must not only be a short-term goal, rather we have a long-term goal. We need to associate with the people. We need to create relationship with the people. That is one of the things which we must keep in mind while selecting or going for an internship. So this was indeed due to scarcity of time. I need to attend a meeting. So due to scarcity of time, I again express my deepest gratitude, thankfulness, and very thank you. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. Look forward for your association further with our college. Thank you so very much. I need to congratulate. I would fail in my duty if I will not congratulate our team of Youth Parliament Society who have worked relentlessly for these few days, and particularly under the leadership of Mr. Sahil Thakur, who deserved accolades. Further, I would like to express my gratitude to the Youth Bar Association of India for their technical support. I wish to express my gratitude for all those who have contributed in making this event a successful event. Thank you very much.